friend asked me if I thought we could make a hanging feed bag from baling twine. My answer is yes. I've started this one already. I'm putting loops at the top, and this is a 2-inch, the mesh is going to be 2 inches. So this is what I am adding on to as we go. To start the loop, I'm taking 3 pieces of twine and aligning the ends together. Then I'm going to loop it around something and fasten it so that I can begin the braid. And then just pick the long end and start a braid, because we'll be folding it over for the loop. So braid a good few, 3-4 inches. And I am leaving the knots in for this project too. So after a few inches, I will take the clamp off. And I know it's not a lot right now, but I'm just going to clamp the edge on because I'm going to braid some of this short end as well. So just clean up this short end so that there's not so much of an overlap. When we make the loop. You just need a few inches. That looks like a pretty good loop. I'll get it on there tighter now and bring my front and back of the loop together, front and back pieces, and then just braid them together for a couple inches. And I am using a tape measure for spacing on this. So for the loop down to where I'm going to add the first row of twine, I want it to be about 4 inches, so I can braid a little further down here. Okay, that's about good. So then I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to bring my working piece back. And these are 2-inch spacings, so this is about 2 inches right here. So what I'm doing for these, I'm going to leave the clamp on for a minute. I am taking the 3 strands. The middle and the right strand of that braid is going to go behind this braid, the looped braid. And so these 2 strands of this side piece are going to go under the right-hand strand, and then set them aside. Then this left-hand strand is going to come over these first 2 strands of the loop strand and under the right-hand strand of the loop strand, and set them aside. And then I'm going to just do a couple of braids from the loop strand to tighten things up before I move around. Then just secure these with a loose knot to keep it from unraveling while we keep working in more of the strands. So getting back to this 2-inch piece, take off my clip. So now I'm going to just pull these straight, not tight because I don't want it puckered. I want to keep my 2-inch spacing, but I want the strands to be nice and even. And then just braid 2 inches of that. Again, we're going to use the tape measure to measure our spacing. So that is about 2 inches. I'm going to leave it right there. And then I'm just going to clamp it to keep my 2 inches marked. And keep going with more of the loops and braiding these in. So this is going to be one side of it. The bag is going to have 2 sides, so we'll be doing this on both sides. This is 2-inch spacing. Our mesh is going to be 2 inches apart, and it's going to be roughly 30 inches by 30 inches. It will be a little less because with braiding, the twine is going to pull in and get used in the work. So I will continue with the loops on the mesh and be back in a little bit. Okay, I have all of my loops done all the way across, and I've started one row of the mesh. So to do the mesh, I take 3 pieces of twine. I'm working with just half strands of twine right now. So I take 3, tie a loose knot a few inches down. Then I've braided these further down so that the braid would not unravel all the way up. So I want to just make it 2 inches. So 2 inches is about up here. So I'll just unbraid it up to that point. One more. Then, with the right hand strand, the next one to be braided, I'm going to hold the middle and the left one together. And in this piece, I'm going to find a right, middle, and left piece too. The right and the middle are going to go behind these front 2 here, and it's going to go, the right hand strand of the vertical piece is going to go behind these pieces. Pull them through. And then what will be the left hand strand is going to go over those front 2 pieces of the vertical strand, and it's going to go, the right hand strand of this vertical piece is going to go over. So the back the 2 pieces go behind, and the right hand goes behind these 2 pieces. Then the right hand strand goes over this the other strand. So get all those 3 pieces out of the way. Don't worry, we'll go over this again. And then just braid a few inches to keep everything tight in there. Okay, that's way past my 2 inches, but that's okay. We'll keep everything in there. So then for this horizontal piece, just pull everything tight and then just braid for 2 inches. A little longer than 2 inches, so I'm gonna undo one of them, and then I'm just gonna clamp it while I get the other vertical piece where I want it to be. So 2 inches is clear up here. So All right, so again, let's do a quick measure. Up about 2 inches. Again, the left and the middle are your front pieces. The right hand strand is going to go behind. So you take these, leave the clamp in for now, take these back 2 pieces behind, and then the right hand strand goes behind them still. Okay, and then those are your horizontal pieces, and you can get them out of the way. Then for this other horizontal piece, it goes over the front 2 pieces, and still this right hand strand is going to go over it as well. And then just get it out of your way. And then I usually take the clamp off from that side and put it on this side just to keep everything tight. And then just braid this foot down a little bit to keep everything secure. So then again, for your vertical piece, just braid your 2 inches. Pull everything nice and not tight so much, but just even. And then braid for your 2 inches. A little long. And you might have noticed that whenever I stop my work, it's always with the right hand strand being the next one to be braided. It just helps me remember where I am. So it's more for me than for the work or the progress, but it just helps me to know what's next. And then just clamp it and continue. So you're going to be doing this at your 2 inches all the way across and all the way down. Okay, so I have both sides of my mesh done, and they're laying on top of each other, and now I'm just going around and tying the pieces together. Now I used half strands of twine, so on the edges, some of them are a little shorter and they were harder to work with, the short pieces. So you may want to use the full length of the pieces of twine to leave them a little longer to tie them together. Also, I did my front side in a 2-inch square and the back side is in a 3-inch square. So they're not, my pieces aren't even. So I'm going to be dividing and tying these pieces and then just tying these pieces together. And all I'm doing is just tying knots. I'm pushing all of the strands through the knot and pulling tight. Now because there's so many pieces of strand, so many strands, I'm also using pliers to pull tighter as well. Just using one strand at a time and going around and pulling them tight to help the knot stay stronger than I could pull with just hand tightening them. Okay. And then again for these pieces, I'm going to unbraid this so I can just tie the strands in the knot rather than the braid. But I am going to leave just a little bit of the braid. It's like one row. And then divide this one. put these two pieces with this. And I'll do that, same for that one, tie these tight. Then what I'm going to do is go around and trim all of these pieces all the way around, except leaving the loops alone at the top. I'm going to leave a little bit after so that when it's pulled during the grazing process, there's a little bit of give without the knot coming undone. So I'll do that all the way around. Also, I'm going to trim off these so that it's just the plain knot there. Okay, and then we're going to add a drawstring through the loops, and then our project will be... Okay, so all of my ends are trimmed now, and again, I just left a little bit at the ends for pull. I'm at the looped end now, and we're going to add drawstrings. I've already put one through, and all this is braided twine. It's 6 strands of braided twine, and I've left the knots at this end because we're going to end up tying them together, but first I'm going to run another strand through. So I want the loop, or the curve of the twine where they're overlapping each other, to be at opposite ends. So I have the loop here. So what I'm going to do is start my second braided length at this looped end so that my loop will be at the other end, and then I'm just pushing it through the loops all the way down, and I'll do it back across so that my ends will then end up back here. So basically start where you want to end, because we'll be coming back. And so just push the length through every loop. Okay, so I'm back where I started. Just going to take the knots out. And again, just tie everything together. This I'm going to trim also, still leaving a little bit at the ends. And then I'm going to do the same at this other end. Right, now you have drawstring closure on the bag, and you can cinch it up just like that, and the feed will stay in. And this wraps up our project. Now this bag is quite big, but you can see how you could tailor it to whatever size you want. You can make the mesh whatever side. This is the 2-inch side. This is the 3-inch side. Or you can do each side a different size. And you can make it whatever size you want by how many of these vertical columns that you put in. Right, so this is our feed bag. So good luck and have fun. Thank you.